Now, continuing the same startling statement, in the 5th verse it says, that moves and that moves not. That is far and the same is near. That is within all this and that also is outside all this. Now, this starting statement seems ununderstandable to us because, to our mind, stability and movement are opposites. That is what we understand normally. In our ordinary experience, that which is stable is not moving. That which is moving is not stable. These are two opposites to our mind, our experience. But you will find always that the greater the movement you want to make, the greater is the stability in the foundation you require. You try anywhere in this world. This is the nature of this universe. That wherever you want to make a very big movement, the foundation has to be more stable. If you want to make a small movement, the foundation need not be very strong. But the greater the movement you want to make, the more stable should be the foundation. This is the nature of the universe.
The stability also means maturity of mind. That is what you mean.
You are right. Actually, maturity is one of the lower forms of stability. Because maturity also has gradations. We say that he is quite mature, very mature, most mature, and so on. There are many degrees. We find that the greater the silence in the inner being, the greater is the power of receiving the shocks of life. This also is a fact. The more quiet you become inwardly, the greater is the power to receive all kinds of shocks of life. The greater the silence in us, the greater is the power of speech in us. The greater is the silence, the greater is the reception of knowledge. That is why we find that when a child jumps from one thing to the other, he won't be able to learn. We tell the child, be quiet, concentrate, and then when he reads with a concentration in quietude, then he understands quite easily. So the greater the silence, the greater is the power to possess knowledge or to acquire knowledge. These are all our ordinary examples. Even in our ordinary life, the relationship between movement and stability is very visible. If you want to make a very big dam and produce a lot of electricity, then you have to make a tremendous foundation so that the tremendous force of water which falls is able to be sustained. It can move then the turbine more powerfully and electricity can be produced. So although stability and movement seem to be opposite of each other, basically both are complementary. They are not opposite of each other. Both are complementary. One completes the other. The greater the movement, the greater the stability demanded. The greater the stability, the greater is the movement that you can generate. So this reality is in its very nature unmoving, and yet it moves. There is a very great philosopher in the West called Aristotle. He defined God as the unmoved mover, himself unmoved, but the mover of the universe, unmoved mover of the universe, which is very similar to this. He had taken this as a kind of analogy from a magnet. A magnet is an unmoved mover of iron filings. You have a magnet. It does not move itself, but all the iron filings automatically are attracted to the magnet. It is the unmoved mover. If that magnet itself were moving away, it would not have the power to attract. It is because it is unmoving itself that this power is generated. Once we know that moving and unmoving are two complementary things, then these two verses seem to be quite simple, because now we shall read again. One unmoving that is swifter than mind, that the gods reach not, for it progresses ever in front. That standing passes beyond others as they run. In that the master of life establishes the waters. That moves and that moves not. That is far and the same is near. That is within all this, and that also is outside all this. And came to the conclusion that this universe has behind it a very big stable support. That also could have been done, but that is not the method of this Rishi. It is not an intellectual philosophical book. It is a record of knowledge where in the state of silence the Rishi finds the origin of all movement. It finds that Ishvara is at once silence and yet originator of all the movement. From the profound silence of Ishvara, billions of rays of light are emanating. And a number of universes are created, are manifested. A number of creatures are created. And all this which is manifested not outside the reality, because there is nothing outside this. All this is manifested within it. So we have now three propositions. The proposition that there is Isha, who is the Lord of the universe. Secondly, this Isha has a poise of stability or silence, which later on in the Gita is called Akshara. Akshara means that which moves not. Kshara is moving, Akshara is not moving. He is Akshara, and who is at the same time moving, who is Kshara. So this corresponds to what the Gita speaks basically as a description of the Supreme Reality. We say that the Gita is also an Upanishad and a summary of all the Upanishads. Therefore, there is a consistency between Upanishad and the Gita. So there, Isha is called Purushottama, the unmoving is called Akshara Purusha, and the moving is called Kshara Purusha. That is the Gita statement of the reality. The reality is Purushottama, having two aspects of it, Akshara and Kshara.